everyone, and welcome to Parallel Magic, the science fiction and fantasy book show. I'm Kate M. Colby, joined as always by Jonas Lee. How's it going today, Jonas?
It is a fantastic day because one, we get to talk about Harry Potter, and two, I get to go on vacation tomorrow.
Oh, lucky you. I just got back from vacation, so I'm back in the reality, unfortunately.
Oh, that's sad. Yours is ending and mine is beginning, and next week we will both be in the same crap boat.
Well, what are you drinking today?
Today, I was trying to do something Harry Potter-esque, so the first thing that comes to mind is butterbeer, and then I don't know, in my thinking and overthinking of it, I never got around to finding how to make it or where to find it. So I just relied on a little bit of coffee and some rum chata in it.
Ooh,
So
nice.
so I'm assuming this is what butterbeer tastes like, but it's probably like really far off. What about you? What
Fair
are you
enough.
drinking?
I have Bundaberg ginger beer, which is non-alcoholic and basically the Aussies trying to booze up ginger ale. But it's pretty delicious, and I was kind of thinking with the butterbeer theme too, it's like, well, I'm not going to make that, but I can have my own special little non-alcoholic beer.
True. So is the ginger part like a stab at the Weasleys at all?
It is now.
It is now. We're gonna make it happen.
All right,
So
so we are reviewing Harry Potter and the Cursed Child today. And as we alluded to in the last episode, we do have some slightly differing opinions on it. So this is going to be like the first time we disagree, which will be fun.
it
And
should
I
be.
think part of that might be our Hogwarts houses
You think?
because I am a Slytherin. I'll pause here so you
Oh,
can boo.
boo. Well, can't hold it against you. I mean, Slytherin has their own purpose in life. It's just that you always get that negative connotation with it, I think. So you kind of get burned
Yeah,
just a
we're
little.
definitely stereotyped.
Yeah. So me, I am the House of Ravenclaw. So, I mean, we're that one that's not always the direct opposition, but I think we're the cool house. That's what I think. The smart, cool guys.
Yeah, you guys rise above all the petty rivalries. You're just like, we're too smart for this crap, and we're gonna do our own thing.
Yeah, and I'm completely okay with that.
Yeah, Ravenclaw is probably my secondary house.
Nice. Well, yeah, I guess our two houses are gonna kind of go at it this today then. So we're gonna read the synopsis real quick. It's same way that we always do off of Goodreads. It reads a little bit differently just because we are going into something that's not really a book. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
it's a play.
story. It's a
Yeah, it's a
it
play.
it's a play. So I'll give it my best shot. See if you can understand it. So it says. Based on an original new story by J.K. Rowling, Jack Thorne, and John Tiffany, a new play by Jack Thorne, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, is the eighth story in the Harry Potter series and the first official Harry Potter story to be presented on stage. The play will receive its world premiere in London's West End on July 30th, 2016. So this is in the future, way back. But it says it was always difficult being Harry Potter, and it isn't much easier now that he is overwhelmed employee of the Ministry of Magic, a husband and a father of three school-age children. While Harry grapples with a past that refuses to stay where it belongs, his youngest son Albus must struggle with the weight of a family legacy he never wanted. As past and present fuse ominously, both father and son learn the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes darkness comes from unexpected places. Dum dum dum. So, let's let's just get right on into it. The story as a whole, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I read this originally when it came out, which was 2016, I believe, and I had I had mixed feelings on it, leaning toward negative. And
Okay.
it's been a couple years, so when we decided to do this episode, it was like, okay, I can't just go off memory because my memories have like been soured and tainted by other people's opinions and like, my own dramatization of things in my head. So I was like, okay, I'm going to reread it, give it another shot. And I didn't look at my previous review on Goodreads or anything because I just wanted to see with fresh eyes how I felt about it 2 years later.
Okay.
And after reading it and finally looking at my Goodreads review, I feel the exact same way, which is pretty much the aspects of it that I like, I really, really enjoy, and the aspects of it I don't like, I hate with a fiery passion.
And I'm going to guess that the fiery passion parts we're going to have to save to the spoiler section.
Yes.
Or, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I should ask,
I can kind of be vague about it, but yeah, most of what I hate is spoilers.
Is in the meat of it, not in the the crust or whatever.
Yeah.
So writing style, how was it reading a Harry Potter novel that is essentially given as mostly, I guess you want to say, stage directions? Not really stage directions, but
stage directions and dialogue.
Yeah.
It was okay. I mean, being an English major, I read a lot of Shakespeare and other plays in college, so I am familiar with the format. But, it was definitely different having gone from reading the Harry Potter novels to a Harry Potter play. I think for me, I can't decide if it's the writing itself or just the format, but I felt the dialogue was often really stilted, and it didn't sound like things these characters we know would say. And like with Albus and Severus, the two, Harry and Draco's sons, sometimes their dialogue felt kind of silly. Like I know they're teenage boys and they are kind of silly, but sometimes it was just like, I really don't think that's how a teenage boy would have said that.
So comparing it more, if you went back into earlier Harry Potter novels as opposed to this one, you don't think that there's any kind of correlation between how those kids acted versus how these kids acted?
Yeah, I feel like it's different. I mean, obviously, the next generation, it's going to be different. I highly doubt I acted as a child and teenager the way my parents did, but I just didn't feel like they felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel natural to me.
Not as genuine?
Yeah. But like the thing that I did really like about the book was I loved Albus and Severus's friendship. I loved that they struggle with being the sons of Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy for kind of different, kind of similar reasons. I mean, both of their fathers have, they're famous. They have these huge reputations, and the boys are, they're not like their fathers. And their peers love to remind them of that. And I think their fathers do too. So I liked that, how those relationships were difficult. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say. I think the plot was kind of dumb. I was okay I was okay with it up to a point, and then this thing happened, and it's like, no, there's no going back from this. Y'all messed it up.
So there was a point of no return for you that we're going to have to dig into in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I will say that the play style writing, that it didn't take long to get into the swing of it for me. Just because I think that when I go through books, it's very easy for having a lot of dialogue and very little direction. So some of the ambience, I guess, is kind of lost as far as that literature goes for me. But I think the very first, I think it was a teleplay that I read once, was Stephen King's Storm in the Century. And when I thought it was a book, I opened it up and like, what the hell is this crap? But it really gets you into that mindset of just trying to understand those characters, I guess. So I did enjoy it by about, the second or third chapter into it. And then it was just off and running. And I think I finished this book in like a day and a half, which for me is phenomenal. But yeah, there's definitely aspects where I was saying to myself, well, this isn't J.K. Rowling for sure, but I can see how she would give a nod of the head and go, yep, okay, keep going. But stringing together the plot, there's aspects of it, like you were saying, that I really enjoyed, and there's some that just felt really, really loose, but I can see how they're trying to do that for the sake of a play. I had to really separate my thinking as far as this is a novel, this is literature, this is a story that I should be writing, or not writing, but reading, and then telling myself, how do you translate that into a play, like a live action play, and make it flow and work? So I think that's where I start liking it and you start disliking it. But we'll find out where that point is at for you. But as the book in a whole, I enjoyed it because I just love continuations on stories. I don't really get into fan fiction too much because it's not really sanctioned or approved, or it's just people who want to see these things happen. And I know people appreciate that. And for me, I just like when it's the actual, original writer that's at least going, I approve of this. So that's where I'm at with it.
Fair enough. So what would be your shot rating for Cursed Child?
Oh, God. Shot rating. Well, see, I look back on my review, and the bad thing about what I think for Goodreads and Amazon, places like that, they only give you a 5-star rating, which means you either disliked it, you didn't like it, it was okay, it was good, or it was great. So I get to that point where I gave it a 5 out of 5 because it was very enjoyable and it was entertaining for me, and it helped my mind kind of expand upon their kids and what would kids do, and these kids that are the sons of famous magicians. And so for today's day, I would probably say, just because I'd rather see it as a book and be able to read those words and really have them play out and get more of a feel for around it, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
So, I mean, not the greatest, not 9 out of 10, but 8. It was a good 8 out of 10 for me. Now, I'm really curious, out of 10, what would you give it?
Well, my original review on Goodreads was a 3 out of 5 because, like I said, the things that I really liked redeemed some of the things that I really hated. So I was really torn about the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still torn about it. So
Yeah.
I was teetering, like, do I want to go straight down the middle and do a 5 again? Or for the sake of drama and playing devil's advocate, do I want to give it a 4? But I think I'll go ahead and I'll give it a 5 because I really am, like, right down the middle. And
So
I don't know, maybe by the time
that you're rounding up.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe by the time we talk about it, I'll, like, be all mad again and I'll want to go down. But right now,
I'll either
I'm sitting at
sway
a
you
5.
or solidify your hatred of it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll see.
Well, I mean, you can't ask for more than that. I mean, 5 out of 10, halfway there. Granted, as a grade report, this book failed you.
Well, yeah.
No matter what. But I guess at this point, we're going to get into the heart of the matter as to what we dislike, what we liked about it. So if you haven't read Cursed Child, you want to read it, pause right here, note the time, come back to us, let us know your thoughts, because now we're going to start spoiling things. So, tell me where it went wrong for you. What hurt you?
What hurt me?
Yeah,
Okay,
which
you
part hurt
mentioned
you?
fan fiction. So let me start with this here. This play reads like fan fiction, except as someone who used to read Harry Potter fan fiction, and I will admit, write a little bit of it, I have read better fan fiction, like written by teenage girls, than this plot. Because here is the problem, and here is the thing that you would get crucified for in the fan fiction sites, and which they should be crucified for, is Voldemort having a daughter.
Yeah.
I hate this. And let me tell you why I hate this on so many levels. Level number 1. Voldemort was all about himself. And the reason he created all the Horcruxes, and not just like one Horcrux, but 7. It was 7, right? It's been so long.
Oh God, yeah, I'm gonna say yes.
So anyway, he went overboard because he wanted himself to be alive to live out his evil goals. If he never once ever let on the idea that he would be okay with anyone else carrying on his mission. So, like, why would he have a kid to do that when that goes against, like, everything he set up for himself with Horcruxes?
True. Was there a moment in there, though, when they explain it? Like, was it an oops? I can't remember now.
No, all they say is that Delphi is his daughter with Bellatrix Lestrange, and that when Delphi came of age, Bellatrix's loyal husband, is how they describe him, told Delphi of her parentage. So
we don't really know whether Voldemort...
Yeah, we don't know if Voldemort and Bellatrix were having an affair, which, to lead into my second level of hatred here,
okay.
I don't think anywhere in the books Voldemort ever expresses any sexual or romantic desire. Like, he always has come across really asexual to me. Like, he's just so focused on his ambition that he's, like, never really had time for women or men or anything.
Yeah.
So, like...
The power was kind of his attraction.
Yeah, so to me it seems completely out of character that he would want an affair or, like, want to have sex with Bellatrix. I mean, like, if he were gonna have sex with somebody, she's the one I would pick, like, as the most likely candidate. But, and then, like, 3, if it is like a Horcrux mentality and he's like, oh, I must secure my legacy, it's like, well, why didn't he, like, line up the female Death Eaters and make a bajillion heirs, just like he made a ton of Horcruxes, to, like, really secure that legacy? I'm just saying, like, none of this logic works for me, and I just... I
had the worst image of just, like, a Death Eater gangbang going on, and it was terrible.
Okay, so this episode definitely gets the explicit tag.
It was probably... I mean, now it's just all downhill. I'm like...
Okay, and my last complaint about this is I saw that twist coming a mile away, and the whole time I was cringing, like, please don't do it, please don't do it. And then they did it, and you could just tell they thought they were so clever in the writing, and it's like, no, this is not...
You did not surprise me.
No, you didn't surprise me, and you just pissed me off. This is... So that is the point at which...
You lost your shit.
Yeah, I just, like, I almost stopped reading it, and I don't stop reading books. So... Well... Yeah, that... And how did you feel about it?
Okay, I mean, I'm not going to say that wasn't just a bunch of BS, though. Like you said, it was very much a telegraphed, like, oh, well, I know where this is going. Like, but I think that part of me that's just... That wasn't the part that I cared about in the story so much. So I think I just kind of scooted that to the back of my brain and go, like, I know that's coming, but, you know, let's act surprised. It's like that person who knows that their birthday party is coming around the corner and they're like, well, oh yeah, the house is dark all of a sudden. Ooh, I wonder what's going to happen. That was kind of what it was for me too. So, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of premise to lead into it. You might as well have just come out with it early, and then we could have been surprised when, like, oh wow, they didn't even bother surprising us. Cool. I was more drawn to the kids. I mean, as far as Severus and Albus went, just because I was trying to picture it if it was a modern day famous family. Like, I mean, you're thinking of actors, you're thinking of... I mean, I think my brain went to sports figures just because it's performance-based. People are going to look at their children like, oh, you're the daughter, son of so-and-so. You should be able to do just as good, if not better, than your father. Am I right? And having that kind of burden, that looming cloud over you that's like, well, you're Harry Potter's son. Why aren't you doing better? Why are you in this house? Why, you know, all that kind of stuff that would plague a kid, especially, I would think, in a magic world where you have to either exceed or meet those expectations. You want the approval of your family. You want that one friend of yours to always be with you type of mentality. So I think I focused on that, even though I will definitely give it to you that the whole Delphi scenario it was put in there mainly to end the book, I think, because otherwise then you have an obligation to see where those kids kind of go, since this had no real ties to it, and just making it about a kid's famous family wouldn't have done anything. So bringing Voldemort into it just kind of gives that nostalgia kick. But like you said, it that part definitely reads like fan fiction that shouldn't be out there.
Yeah. Well, and I completely agree with you on Albus and Severus and their relationship with each other and with their dads. I love that Harry's a bad father, because when you think about it, he doesn't really have a lot of great fatherly role models. I mean,
Yeah.
Dumbledore's a great wizard, but
Mhm.
he's not exactly the best
He
father
wasn't a
figure.
really caring man, but he was a great magician. He had that going for him,
Yeah.
but that was literally it. So yeah, he definitely didn't have this sense of what a good family was, unless he was looking at Ron's family. I think that's where he got most of his paternal instincts from, if you can call it that. And even those, I mean, those are slight, because the times he felt safe there were few and far between. But when he was there, I think he was completely happy. So yeah, him being
Yeah.
a terrible father made me go, well, thank God you didn't just make him the hero again.
Yeah, it was nice to see him have a flaw and really struggle with his relationship with Albus. Because then at
Hmm.
the end, when they do kind of come to understand one another, it's so much more satisfying and meaningful.
Yeah, and I liked Hermione's um, position. And if I remember,
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember correctly because I didn't get a chance to kind of peruse my notes either. Um, but her and Ron weren't in the best of places, were they? Because he was kind of low on the totem pole, and she's like the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah, she's the Minister for Magic, and Ron runs the Weasley Wizard Weez's joke shop. And yet, there's a little bit of tension, I think, with their positions, but then also Ron just doesn't really like that Hermione works so much, and she makes a comment where she's like, "Yeah, Ron says I see my secretary more than him."
Yeah. Which, I mean, I see that very reflective as far as very powerful businesswomen go. And I'm really glad that they actually put that angle in there, because just because you're the man in the relationship doesn't mean that you should have the better job, be smarter, be more powerful, or anything like that. I'm glad that they didn't try and flip flop that, because all throughout Hogwarts, Hermione was the stronger, smarter of the two of them for sure. So
Hmm.
seeing her rise to that level of, that's where she's at in the business slash magic world is appropriate. And of course, it's going to be busy. So you can see that's how that strain goes. It's not just because Ron's inferior to her. It's just that Ron is not going to be as busy as somebody who's running the entire, ministry of magic, which is what she needs to be doing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I like that aspect too. And I think little things like that in books is what draws me in and makes me like them. Which is probably why it kind of kicked me up instead of focused on the stupidity of parts of the book.
Yeah, it had a lot of really great moments. I mean, I loved seeing the trio together again, and I liked I liked what they did with the adults. How like I liked everyone's jobs and everyone's parenting skills and styles. I thought were really appropriate. Um, I like that I like that Harry and Draco. I've always been a Draco Malfoy fan. I'll just like put that out
Just gonna
there.
put
I've
well
always
in
had sympathy
front of
for
your
him.
house.
Yeah. But I liked that he and Harry still had some tension. But okay, the like wand fighting scene in the middle of the kitchen was kind of stupid. But other than
Yeah.
that, I liked that they had some tension and that they were able to overcome a lot of their childhood animosity and focus on finding their sons and kind of healing their relationship through their sons. I thought that was nice because I feel like that's what mature adults would figure out how to do.
Yeah. So it's no longer Quidditch fights and stuff like that they have to rely on. They actually have to be adults. They have to use their words, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was nice to see that when their sons are trying to become friends, that they attempt to be civil, and then
Yeah.
after the animosity of what their sons go through, they actually come a little bit closer. So I think it sent a positive message, at least in that way. So what did you think about the elusive time travel aspect in this?
Well, yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to say what I want to say. I understand logically the reason why Albus wanted to save Cedric. You know, it's on one level he identifies with Cedric because he too feels like despair in his personal story.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, also Cedric dying is one of, if not Harry's biggest failure. And it's something that really deeply, you know, disturbs him and he feels really guilty about for his whole life. So the fact that Albus, like if Albus could go back and save Cedric, then he's done something nice for his dad, but he's also overcome like his dad. He has gone beyond and proven himself in a way a better wizard or person or whatever hero than his dad. So logically I get it, but I just didn't like it. I didn't really think that he would do it. Like it felt forced to me. It felt like, oh, everyone loves Cedric and Robert Pattinson, so let's just
Right.
Bring that visual
Save
back
the
for
Twilight.
everybody. Yeah. So
Boy, let me try this. It's one of those things where I would have enjoyed it, I think, if this were the first time travel were introduced. I think they
yes.
relied on a lot of that same mechanic instead of developing a new one. If they would have developed something new as far as either a villain or an antagonist or a plot device or something like that, which made you go, oh, this is something new, you could have gone, great, this is what Harry Potter's all about. Every single volume was some new thing. And if not, it was something that was attributing to something that will become something new. This one, it took the time travel aspect, it took the Voldemort aspect, it rehashed some of those things, which made it, I think, overall lose its luster. So that's where I saw it go wrong as well. But as far as the time travel piece goes, I always just try and look at it, and I know this is a fantasy book and it's magic and something could have happened where it would have worked, but my time travel aspect just goes, you alter one small thing, you might not exist in the future. Why would you do that? Because things like our failures are just as important, I think, as our accomplishments. So when I play it back and I go, well, what if Cedric were alive? Well, then what would have happened next? Like, what would Harry have learned from that? What would Harry strive to overcome? Or would he have the same fire to beat Voldemort anymore? And just all these different things. And if you take that away from him, maybe he's not as powerful the next time. And then maybe he does die. And then all of a sudden, there goes your effort. Like, you beat your dad. Great, you're dead. You never existed. Now you're not just dead. You're inconsequential.
Yes. Yeah, I will make 2 points in response to that.
Ooh,
So
2
the
points.
first is that I absolutely agree. It kind of felt like Harry Potter Greatest Hits. It's like, let's bring back the Polyjuice potion. Let's go hang out with Moaning Myrtle in the bathroom. Like, they just really, let's literally go back to the Triwizard Tournament because everyone loved that book. Like, it really just felt like we were going back and like, and I know they're playing on our nostalgia because they're like, oh, everyone loved this. They're going to love it again because it's Harry's son doing it. But It's like, no, give me something new. This is a new character. It's, 19 years in the future?
Yeah.
Give me something new.
It's like those episodes in your favorite TV show where they just kind of rehash bits of your old TV shows that you've already watched and you go, this is an episode?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry about that. So
no, you're fine.
Point 2.
Yes, point 2. This is something that I had forgotten, I guess because I blocked it from my mind because it seems so dumb. But you say, like, well, what would have happened if Cedric lived? Well, apparently, if Cedric lives, he becomes a Death Eater and, like, turns the tide at the Battle of Hogwarts by killing Neville. And then with Neville not killing Nagini, though, the last Horcrux isn't
Yeah.
killed, so Voldemort wins. And it's like, okay, I'm totally fine if you save Cedric if that means Voldemort wins somehow. But are you really going to sit there and tell me Golden Boy Cedric Diggory got a little embarrassed by flying away with a bubble around his head in the second challenge and therefore became a Death Eater?
Right.
Like,
Because one really
whatever.
equates into the other.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, he might have been a little embarrassed, but all his fangirls would have just been all over him like, oh, poor Cedric, we still love you. Like, no, come on.
Yeah, they did take that. Now that you bring it up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. But they really took it to the very, very extreme, and that was total. That was total just to end that string of plot. If they would have thought it through, I think they could have come up with something better. And I mean, I hate to rehash it again in the spirit of what this rehashing is, but if they would have just taken the elements of the kids, and even, I mean, I'm putting this out there, if they would have even taken the aspect of, oops, Voldemort had a spawn that he was unaware of, and put that in there with new elements and an actual plot that didn't tie in everything that we've already gone through, I think this book could have gone a lot further.
Maybe.
I know when I put that Voldemort kid in there, you probably went, nope.
Yeah, that's exactly what I went, nope. Because
Yeah.
I honestly think, yeah, the plot, if you go up to, like, I think it's the end of the third act, where Albus and Severus have set everything right, they're back with their parents, and Delphi hasn't revealed herself as Voldemort's daughter yet.
Mm-hmm.
You could end the story there, and it would be kind of a rehash of the other books. It wouldn't be the most original thing, but it would be a perfectly sweet little story about how these outcast best friends tried to do this heroic deed, learned a very valuable lesson, and reconnected with their fathers. And it would have been fine. And then I think you throw in the whole fourth act, I think, just beyond the whole Spawn thing, like, it makes it about Harry again,
Yeah, it does
in
kind
a
of turn it
way,
back.
because it's like, he has to go there. I mean, Albus does, take the lead. He figures out how to tell Harry where and when he is. But, like, still, Harry goes back, and it's all about his emotional trauma of having to witness his parents die and all of that. And to me, the story was about Albus, and Harry kind of hijacked the last act, and I didn't like that. I wish if they were going to do that, they would have done it in a slightly different way, so Albus still really felt like the center. Because yes, we all love Harry. He's our hero. Every book has his name in the title, but like,
Yeah.
this isn't his story really. I felt like,
Yeah.
yeah,
They did kind of hijack. It's I hate to put it out there, but it's like when James Patterson's name's in really, really big letters on his book, and then the person who actually wrote it is down below in really, really small letters. That's what this kind of felt like in a way. It's like,
that's
it's Harry
literally
Potter
what
and the Cursed Child, I guess. Whatever.
yeah. Well, and that's literally what the authors are. It's an original story. You listeners can't see my air quotes, but it's
They're
an
there.
original
They're there.
story by J.K. Rowling. But then, it says at the bottom, like, written by Jack Thorne.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, she might have contributed the ideas, and maybe this plot that I don't like is her fault, in which case I'm shocked and saddened. But, when you get down to it, she's not the one that wrote it.
Yeah, she like I mentioned, I think she was just the one who kind of nodded her head at, like, yeah, let's try it out. Why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, now you're making me like almost second guess some of my things, but I can't really defend the whole Voldemort kid thing because it is kind of ridiculous. It's just trying to bring an old nemesis back that should be long gone. I mean, Jesus Christ, he's died how many times now?
At least 7.
At least 7. So with that in place, I think if they would have picked any different antagonist, even if it were Bellatrix's daughter, Bellatrix's son, or something like that we didn't know existed, and just kind of thrown that in there, that would have been better than Voldemort.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that a fair assessment?
I think so. And, maybe there is some way they could have done the kid aspect. maybe they could have, maybe if they would have provided a reason or like a logic to why or how the child was conceived, I would have been more okay with it. Maybe if the child was there, but Voldemort wasn't brought in, I would be more okay with it. But I agree, like, Voldemort was a fantastic villain, and Harry was a fantastic hero, but to me, this shouldn't have been their story. Like, we should have left them in the past and give Albus his own story with Harry as a side element and a new protagonist or a new antagonist.
Yeah. Yeah. I now that all this is there, I'm actually going to drop my shot rating down to a 7. Just because, I mean, I still enjoy the book. I still hold true to when I first read it. It's still a 5 to me. If I have to redo every rating for every time I read a book, though, it's always going to differ one way or another.
Oh,
But
yeah,
right now, after hashing it out, just with those elements alone and what they could have done with it, I think that could have part really makes a difference. So yeah, now it's a 7 out of 10. Sorry. Sorry, Harry Potter.
yeah. Well, and I feel kind of bad for ragging on the book the whole time. So, like, what I will say is I appreciated the chance to revisit this world and these characters. And I know there are some people who are just going to love it 10 out of 10 stars every single time because they love Harry Potter. And, like, that's awesome. I'm not judging any of you for liking it or disagreeing with me. Like, that's great. I love that you have this because this is what books are all about. It's about an escape. It's about joy, helping us transcend our worlds, identify with new people, grow our empathy. And if this play does that for you, then hell yeah, read it, defend it, great. It just, for me, it wasn't what I expected, and I feel like it had a lot of logical shortcomings, a lot of repetition, and I just think it, like you said, it could have been better, and that's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, I think the part that's starting to catch up with me now is just the fact that a book like this, it tends to permanently seem to close the storyline for future Harry Potter novels, whether it's with his kids or with them, just because this one kind of taints the water a bit and makes you feel like, well, I don't want to read another one where they're trying to bring Voldemort back again. I mean, I want something new, and they're really pushing that towards the whole Fantastic Beast aspect, which I'm actually looking forward to with Grindelwald and going back to some of the original, bad wizards and stuff like that. That's going to be where it starts heading, and I think that this Harry Potter book is going to be, I'm going to assume, is going to be one of the last ones that we see, at least for a while, until somebody else can do it better.
Yeah,
Sadness.
well, we'll see. I'm excited to see where they take Fantastic Beasts as well. I'm trying to withhold all my judgment until they finish that whole story arc.
Yeah. Well, I guess time will tell. We'll find out. Actually, I think that's coming out this year, isn't it?
I believe so.
Well, there you go. Always Harry Potter stuff to look forward to every year, it seems.
Yep, just like Star Wars now.
Just like Star Wars. Every year you get a Star Wars thing. Just make sure that we don't become, irrelevant. Oh, Lord.
Alrighty,
well,
so next up on our book docket is Wool by Hugh Howey. But our next episode will be one of our special movie bonus episodes.
That is right. Which one?
I forget. We're going to do A Wrinkle in Time first.
Yes.
And then we will also be doing Ready Player One. But as of this recording, Ready Player One hasn't hit the theaters yet, so we must wait.
Waiting it shall be. And I'm going to try super hard to get into The Wrinkle in Time. There's just part of me that's really leery about paying money for it at the moment. I don't seem to have the confidence in this movie.
Yeah, we'll see. I hear it's getting very mixed reviews, so.
Yeah. Oh, we'll come back and figure it out. But as far as this book goes, also, if anybody has their own opinion that we haven't hit on, I really encourage you to leave comments either on our website or on our Goodreads group or on our Facebook, wherever you can find us, just so that we can kind of get a litmus test, I guess, of what you guys think out there. That would be super good. And I'm still waiting for comments so Kate can sing, just so you know.
Yes. Yes. And, share your Harry Potter houses too, because, the fact that I'm a big meanie this time might be because I'm a Slytherin, and maybe Jonas is a little more sympathetic and logical about things because of his Ravenclaw perspective.
It just might be. You never know. Yeah, hit us up with your house. But up until the next time that we meet, we'll be going into the apocalypse genre, our favorite. But until then, I'm going to raise my coffee mug and say cheers to you.
Cheers.